One summer night, I went to Mrs. Minica and Mr. Petrescu's house with my mom and my dad. My parents had to help them bag the wheat and carry the sacks of wheat up to the attic. I had nothing to do except wander among the jasmine tobacco flowers taller than me and drink rose syrup with cold soda. I always felt safe in their yard, which was located in a valley, isolated, without neighbors, and without public lighting. They had rabbits and chickens, two goats, and a small puppy. I sat on the grass, facing the sky, searching for meteors. I knew there was almost a month left until the Perseids, but I didn't care. I wanted to see a shooting star to make a wish. The wheat smelled fresh. There is something almost divine in the scent of freshly harvested grains. I remembered how, in other years, on late summer nights, I went with my parents to harvest corn under the full moon. The cornfield turned silvery from the moonlight, and the wind gust animated it, turning it into a benevolent creature. I imagined how, seen from an airplane, it created shapes from the ripples, almost like in a Van Gogh painting. The memory of the cornfield now overlaid the starry sky. I squinted my eyes, and it seemed like I could see beyond the stars, into a realm of eternal creation. I was pulled out of this reverie by Mrs. Minica's cat, which was hunting the huge butterflies attracted only by the jasmine tobacco. I got up from the grass and approached the flower bed in an attempt to save them from the little fierce creature. Suddenly, I felt like I couldn't move, that I was frozen, like a plaster statue. It felt like when you are paralyzed in your sleep. I couldn't move, but I heard and saw everything happening around me. With an incredible force, I managed to turn my head and gaze towards the sky. I was feeling an immense attraction to look up there. With the movement of my neck, I felt as if a crack had formed, and from it, a bit of plaster dust shook off. In the sky, above the horizon line, I saw a sphere of light. It was perfect and almost motionless, pulsating gently, suspended into the atmosphere. Its size was about half the diameter of the moon. I started to hear the sounds from outside as if they were taking place inside my own skull, and among all the sounds, my breathing was the loudest. Surprisingly, it wasn't agitated, but calm and profound, regular and resonant, like a bell. I looked at the sphere for what felt like minutes. I could hear my parents moving the bags of wheat and the cat in the jasmine tobacco field growling above a victim. When the cat finally bit the hummingbird moth, as I found out years later, these were the butterflies attracted by the jasmine tobacco, there was a crunch sound that came out from inside my skull, marking the moment when I started to hear again normally. With the sound, I managed to blink, and when I opened my eyes, the sphere was no longer there. I searched the entire sky while shaking my numb limbs, but I couldn't find it anymore. Soon after, my parents called me, and together we went home, where I couldn't fall asleep until the next morning. I can't explain what I saw that night, but thanks to the X File section in the weekend edition of the newspaper Libertate, which I enthusiastically read at that time, the night remained in my memory as the night in which I saw an UFO.